All right, guys. So let's be respectful of Jeff's time. I'll let people as they pile in. But here we are with week 3 of advanced market training with Quility Zone, Jeff Sigworth. Thank you, Jeff.
Woo-woo! Go, Jeff.
Hey guys. Thanks.
Hey.
So just some of you trickled in late. Any questions so far? We learned what an IUL is. We learned how to find IUL clients by using the FIF. And then last week we did the presentation. So any questions up to this point? All right. Nice. I like it. All right. So today we're going to handle objections. So I need the juice mark so I can share.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There we go. Where are we? Here we go. All right. Objections.
If you're not speaking, please.
We got objections. So whenever I kind of wrap up the presentation, I kind of do that, drop the mic, show them the difference. If I just feel like they're kind of asleep at the wheel, I will anticipate and ask them some objections. So do you understand how this works? Do you understand the benefits? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? I think it's okay to get those clients who are kind of asleep at the wheel just engaged, asking questions, because the more they understand it, the less chance of a chargeback. And I'm going to tell you guys, the way I've been very fortunate, I don't know if it's the way I presented or what, I don't get chargebacks. It's probably because, somebody doesn't want to throw away, if they're into this thing for 3 months, they don't want to throw away $1,500 or whatever it might be. But I really almost demand the understanding, kind of like Mike does with DFL and the debt payoff table. I ask clients, hey, do you understand how this works? What questions do you have? Okay. Anything like that. So it's okay to get out in front of those and ask questions to gauge the client's understanding. Now, before I get into a list of objections, what objections do you want to go over, or what? I don't want to pretend that my list of objections is inclusive of everything. So what do you guys want to hear? What do you guys want to?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Somebody asked me the other day, well, what's the difference between the 509B or something like that to the IUL?
50. I've never heard of a 509BA. 403B. So there's a 403B. There's a 529.
529. That's what it was.
So a 529 is for education. So what I'd like to do after I go next week, we'll do the advanced mechanics. It's not client facing. It's just to give you guys the confidence and conviction that the IUL works. I usually go over kids policies. Okay. So I have a unique situation where I have a kid in college. He's a stepson, but he's mine because if he screws up, I got to pay for him. So he's definitely mine. But he had a 529, and we saw like go down really fast with coronavirus. And I said, Carol Sigworth did a better job raising me than that. So I got my daughter, who was 9 at the time, into an IUL to do college funding, which is $200 a month, and it saved us a bunch of money. So 529s are an investment usually for kids that have to be used for education. If they're not used for education, then the money is taxed, but it's cyclical. It goes up and down with the market. Post-tax money that goes up and down with the market. Okay, that's a 529 plan. It counts against your FAFSA form. And if any of you have kids that are in college or have looked at going to college and you've been through FAFSA, you need a proctologist to get those people away from you. Okay, because they check everything. So money inside of a life insurance contract does not count against your FAFSA form. Okay. So 529, there's very little flexibility in a 529 plan. I'll show you guys in 2 weeks. Remind me, Mark, if you can make a note, I'll try to make a note too. Remind me, guys, and I'd love to go over that with you. It's a personal, it's my story. Like I'll go on and show you my daughter's IUL at F&G. I've done it with clients before.
Go over which part next week, Jeff?
No, next week is going to be advanced mechanics. In 2 weeks, we're going to go over the children's policies
Nice. Okay.
using an IUL for college funding.
Nice. Thank you.
Good question, Shelley. An IUL, you can use it for anything. It doesn't have to be for. I mean, I could use. Let's say my daughter's IUL all of a sudden increase, and I want to take a cruise around the world. I could borrow the money out and use it for that. I mean, you can do anything with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other objections you want to go over?
Well, I already have an IRA, so why would I want to do an IUL?
Well, Shelley, how much of that IRA are you prepared to lose during the next market downturn? How much have you lost in the last week?
I don't know.
Let me ask you, do you like losing money?
No,
So if I could show you a way where you could get market-like gains but have downside protection, that's something you'd be interested in?
yeah,
Great, there you go, done. Okay, so let me ask you this, Shelley. Your IRA, you're deferring taxes, right? It's post-tax, or I mean, it's pre-tax dollars. You're not paying taxes on that money.
right.
Okay, so do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower in 25 years from now?
Higher.
Higher. So do you like paying taxes?
No,
So if I could show you a way where you get the money, pay taxes today to get the money tax-free tomorrow, that's something you'd be interested in?
yes,
Let me ask you, do you have kids?
yes,
You have a mortgage, because obviously that's most of the reason. I've never done mortgage protection, but that's probably why I'm in your house, correct?
yep,
So you got your biggest deductions right now. Taxes are on sale. You got your kids and your mortgage. Taxes are never going to be cheaper than they are right now. So why they're on sale? Like, my wife will come to me, hey babe, I saved us $800. No, you didn't. You spent money, right? Okay. So taxes are on sale because you got your kids, you're deducting your kids, you got your mortgage interest. Those are your biggest deductions. Okay. So while they're on sale, why don't we use that money while they're on sale to get the money tax-free tomorrow? And I'll go over that a little bit mathematically here in a sec. Good question though. All right, guys, ready to dive in?
somebody else needs to start asking questions though.
I know, I'll start.
Hey Jeff, that's normally the biggest objections when it comes to IUL or permanent life insurance is about, my tax deductions that I'm getting right now. So when I'm ready to retire, I'll be on a lower tax bracket.
Yep.
So those
Muhammad,
normally the biggest stuff that, yeah.
give me about 15 minutes and I'm going to answer that question. All right, buddy?
All right.
All right. I've been told to use a 401k, a 457, a 403b. Why haven't I heard of this? Anybody have any response to that?
Can you repeat that question?
Tax-free.
I've been told to use a 401k or a 457. Why haven't I heard of an IUL?
Because we've never talked.
Well, that's a good one. Have you ever heard of Ray Kroc?
Who's gaining from the 401ks? Not.
That's right. Who's getting paid? Whose pockets are getting lined, right?
Mhm.
Have you ever heard of Ray Kroc? Who knows who Ray Kroc is?
Yeah, found a McDonald's.
Yep. Do you know how he bought the first piece of property that the McDonald's was sitting on?
IUL,
Cash
No,
value-
whole life.
It's cash value life.
Cash value life insurance.
Okay. Have you heard of Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Started Disney with cash value life insurance. Have you heard of J.C. Penney? During the Depression, paid his employees with cash value life insurance. Who here has heard of Magic Johnson? You know how Magic found out he had AIDS or the HIV? He was taking a paramedic exam to do $1 million a year premium for an IUL. Who knows Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah, coach of
I saw-
Michigan.
Coach of Michigan.
Yeah.
He's terrible. But in my opinion, I'm a Penn State guy. Mike's out of the office, so I can say that. He's horrible. He hasn't had that much success at Michigan, but do you know he has the highest contract in college football, even bigger than Nick Saban?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because of an IUL. On the Assura side of things, the agent who sold him, his buddy is on the QMS side of things. Eric Rosenfeld, it's his buddy. So they've been tools of the wealthy and the rich for a long time. Now they're just getting to everyday people like you and me. Okay. Any questions on that one? Question. All right, let's go on to the next one. I need to think about it. Who gets this one?
Oh, Sam.
All right, what do you guys say? I've been doing
What do
this
you
a
mean
long
think
time.
about?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Do you understand the plan? So do you not like the tax-free nature of it? Do you not like the enhanced death benefit? Do you not like the protection from market risk? Do you not like having safeguards to outlive? What part of it do you need to think about? Okay. And I'll say, how long do you need to think about? What common answer is what?
I don't know.
Gotta
Go ahead.
talk to my second.
I need a few days to think about it.
Great. Well, the insurance company is going to need a lot longer than that to think about you. Okay. So you have to go through underwriting, not only health, medical underwriting, but also a little bit of financial underwriting, see if this product fits you. But I've been doing this for a long time. And when somebody tells me that, it's probably because they don't understand it. And I'm going to tell you, I might have gone over it too fast. I know I'm originally from the Northeast. These Southerners talk a little bit slow. I'm originally from the Northeast, so I tend to talk fast. What part didn't I explain well enough for you? Okay, what part didn't I explain well enough for you? Because it all comes down to three things. You guys know what there's only three objections in all of sales. Who knows what they are?
They can't afford it.
They don't
Price?
trust you.
They don't
Trust-
like you.
Price, we got one. Price, what else?
They don't trust you.
Trust you.
Person,
They don't
What's the third
understand
one?
it.
the product. So it's the price, the person, or the product, right? We know nobody likes Muhammad. I don't either. I'm just teasing. Right? You can't change who you are. So if it's you,
Not everybody's cup of tea.
no, you're a good dude. I can't wait to meet a lot of you. I don't know a lot of you guys, so it'll be cool to like meet everybody in person someday soon. But like, but yeah, I know. I see him. He's been on a lot of my training, so I had to pick on somebody I kind of knew. You can't change if they don't like you,
No,
right?
thanks.
They told you the price. We know the price from the FIF. That's why the FIF is so important, because we know what they're already spending. We know what they can afford. So we eliminate you, because if you're in sales and everybody's on this call is likable and fun and you've had some success in sales, we know it's the price. We want it to be the product. Why did people buy? What's our job? Our job is to show
Value.
value. Yes, Betsy, good job. Our job is to show value. I want to be forced to do my job well. Okay, so always bring it back to the product and show the value. So some of the questions that we ask in the FIF, some of the future-facing questions and the trial closes that we ask, hey, you told me you didn't want to lose any money. You told me you didn't like taxes. Is that right? Well, you can loop back to that, kind of basically, for lack of better words, call them on their BS and say, hey, why don't you like it? Oh, it's life insurance. Okay. Nobody likes life insurance. Nobody likes life insurance, but everybody likes what life insurance can do. Okay. So you have to bring them back to what that underlying cause is and show the value and explain it to them. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Why is it that life insurance has got such a bad rap?
Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, and I'll tell you what, and part of my why, this is going to sound cheesy, but it's true. I want to change that connotation around life insurance and life insurance agents. If I can teach one of you guys to do the right thing all the time, set it up properly, sell it the right way, show the proper value in it, we can change. We can make big strides in changing that negative connotation that's associated with not only our products, but our profession, which most of the time aren't true. But when we have people out there that aren't setting up an IUL properly, right? People that are only doing 10% of the PUA in a DFL plan, right? Mike's found some of those a year or so ago. Okay, they wanted a little bit of flexibility in their DFL plan. They put like not hardly anything into the PUA. Okay, I come across people, and a lot of times to no fault of ours, the IUL's completely set up wrong. I was literally just on a Zoom call Today's flying by for me. I was just on a Zoom call like 2 hours ago with an agent who has her own IUL that's set up improperly because she didn't know. When I first got in the business, I set up clients improperly because that's the way I was trained. Okay. So if we collectively as a group hold ourselves accountable, especially under my watch, because if you guys set up a client properly, proper age, proper setup, I'll stand on steps to Supreme Court and I got your back. But the minute you don't do it that way, I'll be the first one to shove you. Hey, they didn't do it the way I taught it. Right. I'll be the first one to trade you in because it makes everybody else's job more difficult.
Yeah, when you're
Yes, sir.
looking for an improper setup, like what are some of the things that you're kind of in your mind looking for?
Great. Great. I was on the plane. I was just out in Iowa with Monteith Group, those folks. And I was on the plane. This woman's like, "Oh, where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to the." She goes, "Oh, I have a whole life. It's $205 a month." And I shook my head. She goes, "What? What?" I go, "What's your death benefit? 400 grand?" She goes, "No, 500 grand." And I go, "It's set up improperly. If you have an IUL or a whole life that has an even death benefit, I'll replace that every day of the week because IUL should only be funded, not overfunded, max funded, minimum death, max income." Okay. So if you come across an IUL, buddy, that has an even death benefit, 250,000, 300,000, 150,000, just even number, get an in-force policy illustration. Don't tell them it's bad because now it sounds salesy, right? Get that in-force policy illustration. Have the carrier tell, and it's good. Mike's coming in here because I need him to hear me say that. Have the carrier tell them that it's set up improperly, so it's not salesy. And now you've added value. You've said that it could lapse. It's not maximum funded, and you have to ask the question: what's the purpose of this contract? Is it for permanent death benefit, which I don't believe an IUL should be used for because there's cheaper options out there. So if it's for that, let's get you more death benefit for the same amount of money. Oh, it's for cash value. Great. Let's get you more cash value. So whichever one it's for, I'm going to beat the pants off of it. Okay. So that's a credit.
Always do increasing level. Almost always.
80% of the time, I would say you're going to do B to A. Okay. Now there's some, because of the new 7702 guidelines, and we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Because of the new 7702 guidelines, there's an age group, depending on it, like 25 to 35-ish, where option A makes sense. You can do your charity work on Sunday, sometimes on Wednesday nights. That's when I do mine, but I like to get paid too. So if it's just a couple grand off a year, like if it's 45,000 instead of 47,000, do option A and get paid. Like, come on. But if there's a difference, a significant difference, kind of criminal to not put them in the best spot. And if it's not enough, if it's not enough death benefit by doing option B, get them in a cheap term. Death benefit's cheap. Do a term policy. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Too good to be true.
Jeff, in that,
yes.
Is there any scenario where, because like when we do the DFL, sometimes you say 40-60 or 60-40, right? There's that. So is there any way probably with the IUL also you can say, you know what, I want to structure this in a way where it probably is 30-70?
Nope. Always max funded. Anything else is a disservice. Without getting into a crazy, it has to do with the net dollars at risk and the cost of insurance. We'll go over that next week, okay? Because when cash value supersedes net death benefit, when the cash value is higher than the net death benefit, the cost of insurance goes to zero because there's no net dollars at risk. So that means we're kind of in the clear. That's the clear area where we don't have to worry about the cost of insurance so much. Okay. The sooner we get the client in that position and the younger that client is, the better it is for you as the agent, the better it is for the client. I know that's kind of heady right now, but that'll make sense a little bit more next week. All right. Too good to be true. What would you say? Who's got some responses there?
Compared to what?
Have you heard of Ray?
Have you heard of who?
Have you heard of Ray Kroc? Have you heard of?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can do that. Too good to be true. Well, if it sounded terrible, would you go for it? right? But I say this, and guys,
Oh,
I want
I like that answer. If it sounded
Yeah.
terrible.
that's what I say. I say if it was terrible, would you sign up for it? And they kind of laugh, and I say, look, and this is true. I've got the company, maybe not Quality, maybe not SSG, but Assura. I got Assura and these products endorsed by the American Jail Association and the American Corrections Association. It took me 9 months, and it felt like labor. It did. It took me 9 months to get our products endorsed by the American Jail Association. So the people that have handcuffs and guns and can make sure you drop the soap, if it's good enough for them, then it's probably good enough for people like you and me. Okay. So take those endorsements for a ride. Okay. Literally the American Jail Association went carrier by carrier, the annuity carrier I was using at the time. I was using F&G as the IUL carrier at the time. So they actually got under the hood of these and vetted me, vetted our products, vetted Assura very thoroughly in order to get those endorsed. So, hey, it is endorsed. We are endorsed by the American Jail Association, the American Corrections Association. We're part of the American Jail Association's member benefits. Okay. Any questions on that one?
No questions, Jeff, but that's really strong. That's really
Thank you.
cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, life insurance is a bad investment. You guys ever heard that one?
Mhm.
Yes.
Buy term and invest the rest. How would you guys respond to that one?
Thank you, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, that's what I would say.
And for all
Buy
that.
term and invest the rest.
Hey, how much are you investing? What was the difference between your term and the whole life? How's that investment going?
Yeah, how's it going? We just went over the numbers. Do you know what I said? I would say this. I would say, hey, we just went over the numbers. Did it sound like it? I mean, I gave you 8% return, okay, over a 20, 25 year, 30 year period, a 5% withdrawal from that amount. Those are hard to argue with. But the next thing I would say is, have you heard of life insurance is a bad investment, buy term and invest the rest, right? That's probably whole life is a bad investment, right? And then, yeah, that's what I heard. I said, do you ever play Atari? Have you ever played Atari? Who here's played Atari? Okay. Remember Tank Combat, I think it was called, Space Invaders, Missile Command. Okay. That was great. It was so much fun. And then we graduated to, I remember Super Nintendo, but Super Nintendo was big when I first went to college. I have a buddy, and look him up on my Facebook, who failed out of college twice because of NBA Live 95. He was always the Knicks. I was always the Bulls. It was a lot more fun than Atari. And now with PS5, I think it is, and Xbox One, those things are incredible. When Parker turned like 15, I'm like, hey, Creasa, I'll play these games with Parker just to make sure they're up to date and they're good. Fletcher Cox on the Eagles moves like Fletcher Cox. It's freaking amazing, right? I paint my face like I'm a Navy SEAL shooting these guys around the screen. Same thing happened with life insurance. Whole life, or our grandparents' whole life. Where was the investment?
No idea.
There wasn't an investment. It was just meant to provide generational wealth, past wealth along. So the term buy term and the mantra buy term and invest the rest came about. It was never meant to be an investment. Then the industry, that was the Atari. Then the industry got smart and called it universal life. But what was the problem with the early universal life policies in the early 90s?
Interest rates were.
Yeah, good job,
well.
Steve. Yes. Yeah, interest rates, they oversold them, right? The exit strategy blew up on them. Now we have the PS5 and the Xbox One. It's called the IUL. We've gentrified as an industry, and we've taken the lessons of the ones previous, and now they're much more user-friendly. So Dave Ramsey, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, was right with respect to buy term and invest the rest, but the products have changed since then. Wouldn't you agree? And they're like, yeah, oh yeah, you're right. It looks like it's going to beat my 401k. What are all the zeros, the guarantees, the guarantee column? Anybody ever get that one? Did we get that one? How do you address that?
Yep.
Minimum death benefit, maximum investment.
Thanks. Somebody's repeating. I like what you said. That's the only way to sell it. But the zeros in the guarantee column, how do you get around that? How do you address that objection?
Well, I would say, yes, the insurance company has to illustrate guarantees for everyone. And if that's if the IUL were not to work for the next 5, 10, 15 years, and the stock market were to have no return for the next 15 years, that may happen. And this probably would not be your worst problem if that were to happen. So
Yeah, Steve, you're 100% right. But there's something else in that guarantee column. It means that the stock market didn't perform, and it also means something else.
That you didn't lose any money.
Lost money.
That did, but there's another factor inside that column. You guys know?
Is it, that means like everybody else that invested outside of this kind of vehicle lost
They lost
pretty
their
much
shorts.
a lot.
They lost their shorts.
Yeah.
But in the minimum guarantee column, it also assumes the highest cost of insurance allowed by law. So when the insurance company gets that product approved through the state's Department of Insurance, there's a COI table, cost of insurance. So what they do is they say, hey, if our clients are dying in mass quantity, and they have to justify this, a company out of Colorado got shut down, an IUL company got shut down 10, 12 years ago when I first got in the business. They barely adjusted their cost of insurance rates and they didn't justify it, shut them down. Class action lawsuit, big thing. So also assumes the highest cost of insurance allowed by law. So that means that the carrier is proving to all these state departments of insurance that they're losing clients in mass quantity, like pandemic on pandemic, walking zombie dead show stuff. Okay. That's what it assumes. Not only did the market not perform, but also the cost of insurance is as high as possible. So I'll tell you guys a story. So I was in California at the time. I was a correctional officer. So I go up to this guy's house. I remember it was like March-ish when the grass, the first time you smell cut grass. I don't know, it takes me back to baseball and childhood. So I roll up to this guy's house, and doors open, and I can tell he just cut the grass. I knocked it, and he goes, "Oh, come on in." And he's eating a Subway sandwich. He rolls up a Subway, and we're talking. And this guy's a bigger dude, bigger kind of redneck ear dude, but bigger guy. And we're talking. He goes, "What are all these zeros on the left side?" I go, "Oh, those are the guarantees." And he literally pushes the illustration away from it back when we were face to face. And I said, "Oh, you don't like that?" He goes, "No." I go, "Do you work out?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "You better work out, because if those zeros come into play, you and I are going fisticuffs over that Subway sandwich." Okay? Because the economic system as we know it has collapsed. People are dying, and you're going to be really busy at work. And the last thing you're going to worry about is what your IUL is doing. You have a pension with the state of California, right? And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "It's gone. Your 457 gone."
Yep.
And he looked at me. I said, "If you really have $50,000 in year 4 or 6 or whatever he said it," I go, "you'll kiss me on the cheek and send me a Christmas card every year." Okay. He's like, "Yeah, I guess I would." I'm like, "There you go." Okay. So if you understand actually what's going on, you can combat that objection really easily. Okay. Any questions there?
That's really great the way you explained that. That's really, really great.
Okay. I think the market will outperform this. Who do you think gives this objection most?
financial planner,
Yeah, financial planner, and
stock market,
yeah, younger
mutual
people,
funds.
younger people, right? So if a financial advisor says, "Oh yeah, the market will outperform this," I'll say, "Did any of your clients lose money in 2008?" Hey, Jonathan, can I mute you, dude? No. Hey, Jonathan, can you mute your phone, buddy? I think the market will outperform this. I get this a lot from young people because they didn't go through 2008. They don't understand. They think my kid, who's almost 21, thinks you buy a weird looking picture, it's going to be worth $1 million. Okay. I'm like, that might change at some point, right? These NFTs. Joe Burrow's rookie card being 15 grand. That's kind of weird. Okay. A lot of kids, a lot of younger people have not seen the downturn in the market. 2008 is the reason I'm in the insurance business. Okay. So the market is cyclical. You can lose money. And I think right now it's very difficult to show that value. But even with, in our example, an 8% annual return over 20 to 30 years, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. Okay. Any question on that one?
Look at the market today.
Yeah, I haven't looked. It's probably down. It's probably, let me see what's going on. Yeah, it's down. Red. Red. All right, here you go, Mohammed. I'm already protecting myself from taxes. Right? Well, let's really look at the money on or the math on that. Can you guys see my blank screen? Do you guys see a blank white screen? Okay, cool. So, okay, let's say we're putting 500 bucks a month away today. Okay, so 500 bucks is how much a year?
$6,000.
$6,000 a year. And what tax bracket are you in? Give me a thing.
28.
Let's go 30, dude. I went to public school in Pennsylvania. Okay, let's just do 30. Okay,
30.
At a 30% tax bracket, we'll do state and federal. At 30%, how much are we actually saving, not paying taxes on?
1,800.
1,800 bucks a year. Does everybody understand that by deferring this 6,000 bucks, by not paying taxes on it, putting it into it like a 401k, for example, if it went back into our check, we would pay $1,800 of additional taxes that year. Everybody, if you're not, please tell me, because this is going to be important. Okay, I see people with their camera on, shaking their thing. I could call out Daniel Cruz because his camera's off. Laura
Okay,
just turned her
repeat
camera in.
that thing. Repeat that again. Explain
I
it to
love
me.
it. I love it. If you're putting $500 a month away into a 401k,
Mm-hmm.
over the course of a year, that's $6,000. We're in life insurance. You should know your 12 timetables because that's how we get paid, right? Everybody gets that, right? 500 bucks a month equals $6,000 a year. Okay. If you're in a 30% tax bracket, 30% of 6 grand is 1,800. So instead of this going into a 401k, if you elected to put this back into your check, if you elected to put this back into your check, at the end of next April, you squared up, you'd have to pay 1,800 bucks to the IRS
Okay.
instead of putting it into 401k. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see how much I can erase without erasing. Now, at the end of the day, in however many years, what is your 401k growth?
Let's
What do you
say
need to
8%.
retire? Okay, well, let's say, so 8%, give me back 700-800 grand? 500
Yeah,
grand?
let's say 700 grand.
Okay. So this thing at the end of the day grows to $700,000. Okay. Now, you're right, Mohammed. You said I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. Okay. Now this is if taxes stay the same. Let's pretend they stay the same and you live in Tennessee, Nevada. Who else doesn't have state taxes? I forget. I know Tennessee and Nevada don't have state taxes. So let's say you're
And Texas.
Florida doesn't
And
either.
Florida as well, I believe.
Florida. So let's just say, how much can you take out of this every year without running out of money?
4%.
4%. So that means I'm going to take out 28 grand a year. Okay. I'm going to take 4%. Okay. So a 4% distribution. So I will never run out of money. Is $28,000 a year. Now, what tax bracket are you in right now? If you make $28,000, well, plus Social Security, you make $28,000 a year. What tax bracket are you in federally?
22.
I think it's a little less, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Let's just say 20%. Let's say 15%. At 15%, let's do the math. What's
3,200.
it's 3,200 bucks? Somebody do that at 15%. That's $3,200 a year that I'm paying in taxes. So Mohammed, you're right, dude. You're in a much lower tax bracket. But I would pay $1,800 while my taxes are on sale. While I got kids in the house, I've got mortgage interest. I would pay this today to not pay $3,200 when I'm on a fixed income and I don't have mortgage interest and I don't have my kids. My parents, Carol and Jim Sigworth, who live in Rhode Island now, my parents live this. My dad's like, damn it, Jeff, don't you do this for a living? Help me out. And I'm like, in 1984. I was 8. I didn't know this stuff. And my dad literally, right? I didn't know this stuff. So I submit to clients, you will be in a smaller tax bracket. You will be. But this is if taxes stay the same in the next 20 years, 30 years, right? Would you rather pay 18 today to save and not have to pay the 32 tomorrow?
32.
Yes.
Wow. Yes.
There you go. And that's not magic. That's just math. Okay.
Hey,
So that's-
Mark, is this being recorded?
Yeah, it's being recorded. I think it was 42 actually, Jeff, so it's even more.
That's even more. I didn't do the math.
Oh, you're
I
right,
just took
42. I'm sorry, 28
I
and
took-
14.
I took somebody else's word for it.
That's
So
okay.
42,000 for 4,200.
No, I mean, I was just thinking that seems even lower, like.
Yeah.
So
So would
they're-
you rather pay 18?
You know, Betsy's a math teacher, so.
I'm gonna take her. I got a C in calculus my senior year, so don't take my word for anything. I hated math. All right. So any questions up to these?
Mm-mm.
All right. Last one. You probably know what it is. I already have a financial advisor. What do you say to that?
Run away crying. No.
Come on, Betsy. I won't let you do that.
No, I'm not.
Bring them on,
gonna-
There's-
bring them onto the net, bring them into the meeting.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Let's
that's what I do.
let's get together and
Yep.
talk about this.
Let's all get together. Let's sit down. And if you guys don't feel confident enough, one of my this is my favorite part of IULs is objections. I love sitting down with CFPs or financial advisors. I love it. So I'll tell you guys a story. So I don't know if you guys do, but I used to do a lot of work in prisons and jails. And I've met with financial advisors 3 times. Okay. The first time I met with a financial advisor was in the Sacramento area, and the guy ripped me apart. I was new in the business. He destroyed me. Don't you understand compounding interest? Don't you understand you're going to be in a lower tax bracket? Is one of the things. And I left that point with my tail between my legs. It was very humbling. And then about 3 years later or so, some probably 5 years into the business, and in Tehachapi, California. Anybody know where Tehachapi is? Anybody know where Bakersfield, California is?
Heard of it, never been there.
Yeah, if California needed an enema, they'd stick it straight in Bakersfield. So you go to Bakersfield and you go east up the mountain. And I'm there at my table, it's payday, so everybody's walking around. This guy comes up to me, Dale, little Japanese guy, dentist, awesome dude. Like I still text him to this day. He's a great dude. He comes up to me, he's like, "What's with this tax for retirement?" I'm like, "Yeah." We start talking. So long story, a little bit short. I go to Dale's house next week. And he goes, "Man, I was a private practicing dentist, but I got arthritis in my shoulder and carpal tunnel, and I couldn't do the long dental procedure. So I became the supervising dentist. So I just tell these guys what the other dentists what to do because I don't do the procedures anymore." And he, in his private practice, had 600 grand. Okay. So there used to be a product by North American back in the day where you roll the 600 grand and they put they pay taxes, send you a 1099 bill, and they take the non-qualified portion and fund an IUL. And I'm looking at this going, man, this is a good payday for Jeff Sigworth. Like, I'm going to have my ducks in a row. So I go down to Dale's house, give this great presentation. I have printouts and everything. Like, I'm like glossy printouts and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, Jeff, this is great, man. I got to talk to my financial advisor." And I went, "All right, I'll meet with your financial advisor." So it was on a Monday morning. I drove down to Bakersfield 4.5 hours for I used to drive all over. I would go to Bakersfield from Sacramento. And so I get there and literally Dale walks into this FA's office. "Dale, what's up, man? How's it going? Hey, God, our wives had a glass of Chardonnay. Sorry, we couldn't hang out. Hey, you putting your scores in at the country club?" And I'm like, "Hey, I haven't seen your kid. He's playing soccer for Fresno State, right? Yeah. Oh, great. We got to go up there and see him. We got to take a trip." I'm thinking, I'm done. I came down here, spent the night, waste of time, money, and effort. Why am I doing this? Right. Well, long story, a little bit short. I get into it, and I'm asking the FA questions, and finally I get to a point. He goes, "Well, Dale, this is only good if you want to maximize your income in retirement." I looked at Dale. Dale looked at me. Done. Like, they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. If you know what you're doing and you ask the proper questions, they don't have an answer for this. They don't. Biggest case I ever sold, 68 grand. I still have the screenshot from my bank account. Okay. And it was all from meeting with a financial advisor with most agents run from. Okay. So don't run from that. Just because they have different letters after their name doesn't mean they don't put their pants on one leg at a time. Okay. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me.
Jeff,
So
what were some of
that-
the questions that you asked them?
I said, okay, some of the ones you've heard here. Do you think taxes are going to go down or bless you? I don't know who that was. Are taxes going to go up or go down?
Up.
Okay. Up. They're going to go up. Then what's the guy going to say? They're going to go down. Okay. In 2008, which wasn't too long ago. In 2008, did you lose money, Dale? I forget the guy's name? Did you lose money? And he's like, yeah. I said, so is there any guarantee you're not going to lose money in the future? No. Okay. So does it come with an enhanced death benefit? No. But I've got him supplemental insurance. I said, okay, but that's extra and above the money we're talking about. Yes. It's a no-brainer. He was feeling, this is the feeling that Dale got and that I got. He was sufficing his business model, not Dale's. He was, because how do financial advisors get paid? Assets under management. Okay. So he was supporting his business model and not Dale's. And it was really easy to see. And when you can get him to kind of say that without saying it, it's done. So here's the funny part of this story. So not too long later, 6-8 months later, I'm feeling pretty cocky about this. So I'm at a different prison, but in that area. Hey, I got a financial advisor. I'll meet with the financial advisor. Okay. I show up, same parking lot. Okay. Same parking lot. I'm like, we get out of the car. I'm like, oh no. Because if I do this in California, at the end of Truxton Boulevard, right at the end, there's 3 professional buildings and there's a Chick-fil-A right there. And I guess all the financial advisors in town are in these buildings. I thought it was the same financial advisor. I'm thinking, oh no, this is a bad day. Oh no, this is a bad day. It was a different financial advisor. And the guy was super, super cool. He's like, hey, I've heard of these. Let's work together. Nothing ever came of it. We exchanged a couple emails, but he was super cool. And he was like, yeah, I heard of these. How do they work? Great. Let's do it. So don't be afraid to work with those people, recruit them. I know you guys do a great job of recruiting. So recruit them. Just educate the other professionals. You're a financial professional too in the insurance space, and when you know your craft really well, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. Okay, so that's it, guys. Good. I'm about time. 10-15 minutes left for questions. I always like to try and do that. I know next week will probably be 5 to 10 minutes left of questions because there's a lot in that advanced mechanics section. But what questions do you guys have? Questions, comments?
Yeah, Jeff, I think what a lot of people, I think, this is Steve Devine, have challenges with, is they think everything's got to be either or. I either need to have life insurance or an IUL, or I need to have a 401k, or I need to, and I think for most people, I think they can really complement each other and work together for a lot of people. And I think that's the conversations you have with a financial planner, advisor, and stuff. I think that understanding, I think, is huge. And I just don't think there's that communication that goes on all that well across the country.
I agree with that. And I think part of the reason I start my presentation with, and I'm telling you, I've gotten more traction with this than any other little thing I say, is I want you to think of this as a Roth IRA married to a life insurance policy without the risk. It's really what, I mean, it does kind of the same thing. And that's why I start every appointment with that little, I don't know, disclaimer, or kind of get your brains moving in the right way.
Hey, Jeff, this is Laura Davis.
Hi, Laura Davis. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank you, for all the great information and, really applicable stuff that we can use when we're sitting in front of our clients. And, these questions that they ask sometimes do tend to throw us off if we don't really know what we're talking about or the ins and outs of things. But, one thing that I've learned is that they are people just like us, and
Yep.
they're just looking to be educated. And these CPAs as well, like they don't know
They
everything.
don't.
And especially like you said, when it comes to IULs, a lot of folks don't know. And, one objection was, well, why haven't I heard about this before? I love that one because a lot of people have never heard about an IUL. And that's why William's always training us, have you heard about an IUL? Just ask them, have you ever heard of an IUL? And, it's just a wonderful different view, and some people have a hard time grasping a different way of doing things, especially, when they've been doing it the same way for so long. So I appreciate all the overcoming the objections and everything that you share with us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. I want to unpack that a little bit. You guys don't be me, right? Don't be Jeff Sigworth. I'm not Betsy Barr. I'm not Muhammad. I'm not Steve, right? I'm not Laura Davis. Don't be Jeff Sigworth. Be more genuine to yourself, because people are buying you, and the more genuine you are, like I say some funny stuff here and there. Like I tend to be this really casual, say something kind of funny, and then I'll drop a 50-cent word. That's just me, right? Do whatever works for you guys, because the more genuine you are, like whatever helped you learn it is probably going to help somebody else learn it. Like when I say, hey, cash value is like what your home's worth, the surrender value is the equity you have in your home. That resonated with me, so it's probably going to resonate with somebody else. So whatever connections you guys make that same connection with your clients in your way, and you can sell anything. I think that in my idea is the key to the key to sales, right? So I appreciate that, and I hope it's applicable, because it was applicable to me. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what the hell it was.
Hi, Jeff. How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
This is Dante Lipscomb.
How's it going, buddy? Where you calling me? Where you
good,
calling in
good.
from?
Miami, Florida.
All right, nice.
I had a run-in maybe a year ago with I had a client, and he's wanting to talk to his financial advisor, and I was super excited. I said the same thing. Let's meet with him, because I knew I was going to destroy him. Not only did I sell him IUL, I had another product that he could put his money in and give him 80% K1, and then he paid for his IUL. And so the financial advisor was like upset. He was just like, how is that possible? And that was it. But he lost the client. And the client was his cousin, as a matter of fact. So yeah, those guys really don't understand what we do, and they think they can rain on our parade. But if we kind of understand what we have going on and how to explain it properly, we can definitely educate them and the client as well.
Absolutely. And I'll tell people, that's a good one. I'll say, like, when it's somebody's relative or whatever, I'll be like, I'll use Mark, for example. I'll be like, hey, Mark, do you like your financial advisor?
Oh, love him. He's the best.
Yeah, good guy, right?
Can do anything. Yeah.
So what I do with people that I like is I go have a beer with them, right? But you're obviously talking to me for a reason. So you can still go have a beer with your financial advisor. He or she will love probably to hang out with you. If they're a nice person, I agree, hang out with them. But you're talking to me for a reason. Do you trust them well enough not to have a second set of eyes on it? If you trust them, a second set of eyes should be no big thing, right?
I love that, Jeff. That's strong. It's just like getting a second opinion from a doctor, right, guys? If your financial future is as important to you as, say, not getting cancer, right, or being misdiagnosed with something as serious the next 30, 40 years of your future, why not get a second set of eyes on it, right?
Dude, I think I'm going to use that, Mark. Hey, I could say that. Hey, do you want to be misdiagnosed with a disease that could affect the rest of your life? Why would you want to be financially misdiagnosed?
That's right.
And then shut up, and whatever they said, just shut up. Let them talk. What are they going to say? Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't care about my ticker. I'm going to, come on.
Right. Go get that chemo for no reason.
Yeah.
It's a serious subject, but seriously, so is your finances, right?
So are your finances. It'll affect you the rest of your life.
Jeff, I have a question that was brought up a few times, and I don't know if people were too scared to ask or what. So another paradigm, in the first week, you said something about IULs are no good. I'm paraphrasing, for people over 50. Since then, I've had a couple of agents who have done IULs for some time say, well, I don't know what that means or why I'd say that and this and that. And I said, well, why didn't you ask? Is my first question. But my second question is there ever a case, lump sum, et cetera? Betsy, you had a great case the other week. He was 61 with like $150,000, but we couldn't quite make it work because of the MEX and all that, right? So anyway, there must be an in-between there and maybe not. I'd love your opinions on that.
Yeah, there's some gray area. Between 50 and 55, there's some gray area. If a client comes in and they're older than 50, probably younger than 55-ish, 56-ish, they got to come with some serious premium. Okay. And it's got to be spread out over at least a little bit of time. If you dumped in in DFO, we do a lot of lump sum dumpings. Well, that makes sense with the guarantees. It's kind of hard with the term rider, but in IULs, there's no guarantee. So if we change what's called the sequence of returns, and we get floor 2 years in a row, that illustration is blown up because compounding, it'll change the sequence of returns with respect to compounding interest, and it gets blown up. If somebody's older, you won't have the time to catch up and make up for that over time. So there's what's called the capitalization phase. Okay, that's the phase of ramping up. So if you're 50, let's just say 55, your days of saving for retirement and really hitting the big one, I would pivot. I wouldn't get them in an IUL. I'd put them in a participating whole life. Okay, just because of those guarantees. Because this is what happens. I'll show you. I'll give you a little insight. And I would never, ever in a million years. Oh, wait, what's going on here? I gotta get out of this. I gotta get out of this. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Don't worry. Watch this. You guys see the illustration?
Yep.
Cool. So we got somebody putting in $6,000 a year, $500 a month. At age 69, they start taking loans. Now, right here, and this is why I wouldn't do it for somebody of a certain age, because right here, the older you are, the longer this gets put off. So this is a 35-year-old, and at 69 years old, we've got $792,000 of cash value. We've got an $853,000 death benefit. So right now, there is $61,000 difference here. You guys see that? The death benefit is $61,000 more. So at 69 years old, the cost per thousand is much higher than somebody who's 35. Let's say this person's 35. Much higher than 35. But we're only paying the cost of insurance on this 61 grand. Because if this client dies, beneficiary gets the 853, where's the 792 go? Back to F&G. So the net dollars at risk are 61,000. But what happens the next year? The next year, the cash value is greater than the net death benefit. So cost of insurance goes to zero. So if we do it on a client that's older and it pushes back this timeline, that cost of insurance will eat up cash value and surrender value and can render the policy overloaned or cannibalized. So it's all about these numbers of when that net death benefit by loans is less than the account value. And that's kind of how we're going to approach it. We're actually going to approach the advanced mechanics from how it protects your family, protects your income, protects you from market risk, protects you from taxes, and protects you from outliving. But that's the key to making sure the IUL puts somebody, you're putting them in a great position. If that happens at like 85 and you start taking loans out, it's a bad day. Okay. If it's about death benefit, we can get death benefit cheaper in, say, a smart UL. Okay. We can get death benefit cheaper in a GUL if it's about death benefit. If it's about cash value, we can get more cash value by running the IUL at minimum death max cash value, or having the sequence, or having that fear of the sequence of returns being screwed up, and doing a par whole life with those guarantees. So that's kind of the difference of when to pull the trigger on what account, if that makes sense. I know it's a little heady, but that's the justification behind it. Next week is the advanced mechanics. It's not 90%, 95% of what I say next week. 95% is not client facing. It's for you guys to understand what's going on under the hood. It's like, I always tell agents all the time, like, you don't have to know how the product works to sell it. Like, you don't have to know how my watch works. I guarantee you it's 1:58. I don't know how this thing works, but I can tell time. I can read it and tell time. Okay. Now, there are agents out there that need to know how the watch works and all that stuff. That is for this next week, is for you. But again, it's just how the engine works. It's not how to drive. It's how the engine works. You put gas in it and go.
That's great, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys, before I say one thing? Yes, applause, Cheryl.
Oh, thanks. Anything else?
Awesome. Guys, all I want to say is, Jeff has shown us some really valuable stuff. I love what you said at the end there. You really don't have to know how the watch works, as long as you know how to present this high level, are willing to make some mistakes along the way, knowing that F&G's got your back on the illustration side. And we can always, email Jeff and pick his brain and come to me or your direct first, of course. We don't want to barrage anybody, but the main thing is, and I've said it before, but now I just want to make it a challenge, who really wants to put this to work, right? Because the biggest gap is learning and knowing and understanding and actually sitting in front of somebody and doing it, right? And that's where most people get stalled. That's just human nature, right? So I ask everybody, if you can, it doesn't have to be clients, right? You don't have to go through your old client list. That's a great way to do it. If you want to jump right in, let's start doing business. But what I'm going to recommend is, find 3 people in your safe place, right? Your brother, your sister, your cousin, your niece, your nephew, whoever it is, your business owner friend, that'd be a great one. And just ask them very transparently if they'll be a guinea pig for you. Let them know that you are traversing into advanced markets in your business. Your team is helping a lot of people build tax-free retirement and changing the game when it comes to college savings, tax-free retirement, and everything in between. But before you go start presenting this to first responders and business owners and family member or clients, you want to make some mistakes and hear all the objections and get through an illustration in a safe place. Would they give you 20, 30 minutes to do that? Right? I mean, everybody's helped their kids with homework before. Everybody's had somebody, as I've said, I don't know anybody who hasn't experienced a friend saying, hey, I'm moving next week. I don't have any money, but I'll buy some beer. Can you come help out for 3 hours, lift some boxes?
Yeah,
right?
that's a good one.
We've all been on either side of that one. So think of this as that moving favor, because this is way easier than lifting heavy boxes for 3 hours, right? You could still buy them a beer, have a sandwich, but I challenge all of you, please. I'd love to task all of you to do that, because I know what it's going to do for you and your business. But let's take the education into action at least through your safe place.
And I'm gonna unpack that even a little bit more. Just asking people, hey, do you have a 401k at work? Is it matched? Just getting accustomed to asking people, right? Maybe you're a little shy and just want to get out of the box. Hey, you have a 401k? Hey, are you getting a match? Oh, interesting. I got something going on at work. Okay. And we talk about secret agents all the time. I got to a point where it wasn't about me being shy or afraid to admit I was a life insurance agent. I felt like I was doing my friends and family a disservice, so I didn't tell them what I could do. I felt like I was lying to them. Right? I feel like I was lying, like, hey man, everybody just lost a boatload of money and I have an answer. Okay.
Love that.
All right, guys. Anything else? Who is it? How did I penetrate police and corrections? That's a long story. I don't know who answered that or who asked that. Steve, that's a long story, buddy. I'll reserve that. It's tough. It was a rough road, dude. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot of ups and downs, and put 160,000 miles on my car in 3 years. But yeah, we still got those endorsements. We're still doing it, guys. I gotta run. I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.
And Steve, I have a small answer to that, but it has to do with your warm network.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you guys. Stephen, in my experience, we're working with the fire department in my hometown right now through a warm contact. We've got a buddy who's, Steve and I have a buddy who's a state representative, and he's just very well connected. On top of that, my brother is a police officer and headed up the what do they call it? Not the PBA, the other one. Anyway, FOP, Fraternal Order of Police.
Okay.
So these groups are very, very tight brotherhood. We're on the outside, they're on the inside. So, it sounds like Jeff did a lot of realize there was a really great market there. And that's really just knocking on doors. But I always talk about with our team, 6 degrees of separation, right? I mean, whether it's the Pope or Tom Cruise or, good old Putin, we're all 6 degrees of separation from anybody on this planet, right? So I always say, look for someone in your network that may know an officer or a fireman, right? And talk to them about, hey, I'd like to show you something, because I think it could really benefit the whole force or your whole firehouse, right? Start small, because just by getting in with even a couple officers, you can make a big difference there, and that will lead to a bigger meeting, and you'll slowly but surely begin to gain their trust, and they realize that you're not there to sell them something. You have a buddy who's a cop who you helped, right? And they now want to show it to other cops, because that is such a brotherhood, sisterhood, those organizations that normally it would take a warm contact or just a ton of, round robin through cold marketing.
Well, that's exactly what I have. Is a friend of mine is it here in little bitty La Plata County Sheriff's Department, and his wife is in on the correctional side.
Oh, perfect.
So that's kind of why I was asking. I just wanted to hit them up.
I think it'd be worth picking Jeff's brain on that, because the difference between saying, how do I break into that market, and hey, I've got a contact in that market, what's the best conversation to have? There's a big difference there because of how hard it is to penetrate those markets. So I'm
not going to Denver to try and hit the biggest one in the state. It's one of the little bitty ones.
I love it. That's a great place to start, because they all talk. So getting the small ones is the best step that you could take, because they'll then say, well, let me call so-and-so over here. I know a guy in this city, and one thing leads to another. So if you want to email Jeff and copy me on it, just so I can help you keep track of things, let's do that, because I'm sure if he knows you have a contact, he might even be willing to hop on a quick Zoom with you. And if not, we'll figure it out together. But because he knows the lingo, I recommend we go to Jeff first and ask if we can get a little, 15, 20-minute FaceTime with him in your contact.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to do the same thing, trying to get the fire department here. I've been to a couple of their stations, but so far nothing has panned out. I don't know how to, because I don't know anybody that's a firefighter that I know personally. So that's another market I'm trying to delve into, because of that living benefits that we have with, let's say, with F&G, like the critical injury, things of that sort.
Well, what we found with the fire department in the city we're talking to is they did not have sufficient coverage for burns, for instance, and things like that with what the county or city or state was giving them. And though F&G's burn policy, I think it's something like, it's got to be a 75%, burn, things like that. What we do have is the chronic illness. So if those burns are preventing them from conducting the two of the 5 daily acts of living, then they can access that chronic illness thing. And that was just such a big deal to these guys. again, penetrating those markets is hard, but the smaller the better because they all know each other. So start really small. Ask your friends. I mean, it could be as simple as just asking your buddies, say, hey, do you have any firemen in your, your warm circle of friends, things like that. We're doing something really exciting on my team. And I'd love to help first responders. That's one of my passions. And was hoping you could make an introduction. Because again, what you got to you don't need to let anybody know anything, but if you're talking to a friend of a friend, for instance, we're not selling anything here. This either works for you or it doesn't, right? It either works better than what you have or it doesn't. And we're not here to sell anything. We're here to get your okay to run an illustration so that we can see if this solves a problem for you. And for most people, it does, right? And if you approach it from that aspect, it's very simple. It's no pressure, it's no stress, and it really is just bridging the gap between hello and let me show you what this looks like on paper, right? And if that makes sense, I'll show you how to apply. I'll show you how, I'll show you how, I'll show you how. Not do you want, I think you need this. No, I don't know if you need this, right? I don't know if it's good for you. I'd like to run an illustration because we're helping a lot of people like you with this. And the only question I'm getting 9 times out of 10 is, why haven't you showed me this before, right? And that's true. And anyone that has braved the world with these, and if you haven't, please just find the guinea pigs. It starts as easy as that. Just find the guinea pigs first. That's friends and family that'll do you that favor. But beyond that, you're going to find this is never a question of how much does it cost. It's a question of how much can I put in? How much can I save? Right, Shelley?
Yeah.
Once they see it, those are the kinds of questions you get. So thank you guys so much for staying on. Really appreciate it. I did put, thanks to Dominic, reminding me, for those of you that were late, didn't make it, what have you, the last 2 weeks, this is week 3, we've got 2 more weeks. So we're at the pinnacle of our series. But the first 2 weeks on a private link on YouTube, on our Newbauer Agency YouTube, I have put them in the chat. So go ahead and I'm going to give you a few seconds to grab those real quick. That's week 1 and week 2. And week 3, we'll have, we'll trim the fat and put that up as well. So that you can get those to your teams if and when, you feel people are ready. One thing is, guys, some of us, Mo, definitely, Betsy, definitely, Steve, it sounds like you're getting in there. Some of us are really eager to specialize exclusively in advanced markets, but I never want to err on having this interrupt the flow of somebody's mortgage protection business. We have an incredible system at Symmetry. It's very turnkey. It's very bread and butter. It's how, Steve and I and Dominic and many others, Joe Martinez, Jeff Miller, Brian Howe, it's how we laid the foundation for the agencies that we've built. So, be Christopher Columbus at your own, at your own peril. Use the system to your advantage. Work that thing, right? Work it, and use this as a pivot point into this until you've helped half a dozen people and you feel confident to make this your mainstay. Okay. But again, don't do it until it's as systematic as what we have built in with Symmetry Financial Group. And leaders, please check out that summit. That thing is just amazing. We'll discuss that a little bit on this week's Newbauer Agency call, but that summit stuff's incredible. Talk about accountability. So thank you guys for being on. Didn't mean to drag on. It's just good to see everybody. And
Mark, you said it was YouTube.
Really appreciate it, Mark.
You said it was YouTube, Mark Newbauer?
Yes, but do you see in the chat there, Shelley? Scroll up. There's a link that says week 1 and a link that says week 2.
Okay.
I'm going to copy them and send it to you on text, Shelley, okay?
All right, cool.
Don't worry about it. There you go. I just sent them both to you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you Thursday.
All right.
Or next Monday at the very least, right? On next Monday's session. We got so many meetings. See you guys.
Bye.